Hey, what's up guys? This is a question that I get asked a lot. How do you wrap your hands? Now, for a lot of people out there, you might already know how to do this and you might already have a technique that you're very comfortable with, and that's totally fine. But for a lot of other people out there, this video is for you. If you're new to the sport, if you're new to boxing or you're new to Muay Thai or even MMA for that matter, and you want to get some different styles of hand wrapping, then I'm going to give you two different styles today that I've learned over the years. One I learned in Thailand, which is a lot better for protecting the knuckles, and it just has a nice comfy feel to it. And the other one I learned in New Zealand, which personally I feel is better for protecting the wrist, and also a very supportive way of doing it. Personally, I like both, but yeah, I'm going to talk you guys through each individual one and the kind of like reasons and usages and the technique and style, exactly how to wrap it. All right, let's get started. All right team, option number one, or style number one, is what I learned in Thailand. Now this style is really good for protecting your knuckles. It provides a lot of support there. So first step, what you're going to do is you're going to take your wrap, and what you want to do is you can actually just fully throw it out like this if you want, it's totally fine. And you want to basically create a little bit of support. So if you come in a bit closer, you're going to see here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to like put it around my fingers, probably like 2 or 3 times, so like 1, 2, 3. And then from there, I'm going to take this as basically like some kind of like a pad or like a support pad. It's just going to give me the extra protection over the top of my knuckles. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my thumb to just hold on to the edge here. And then I'm going to like wrap this over the top here, okay? And what will happen is I'll get this on nice and tight, as you can see, and in position, okay? And then from there, I'm just going to tighten things up a little bit. And basically I'm going to create like a nice solid pad of protection over my knuckles. Then from here, I'm going to go around my wrist. So I've gone around there about 2 times. I'm going to go around my wrist. 1, 2, and 3. So the main thing here is just making sure that my wrist is nice and protected. And then I'm going to work my way through each individual gap in between my fingers and obviously around my knuckles. So I'm here, I'm basically going to come up and over through the first pinky and ring finger, and then I'm going to come back around like so. And then I'm going to go through middle and ring finger like so, and back around and over. And then lastly through index and middle finger like so, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap over the top here, and I'm going to go around just to kind of tie up any loose ends or pieces. So one time around over the top of the knuckles there, basically just want to get that nice and protected. And then I'm going to come back around and over, and I'm just going to finish up on the wrist, okay? Now if you get to the end of your hand wrap and your wrap's like this, don't panic, don't freak out. Just flip that little bit of like Velcro over, and then you can just kind of finish off like so, okay? So as you can see, really good solid way, very protective. It puts the padding of the wrap a lot more over the top of the knuckles, which depending on what type of training you're going to be doing, can be more beneficial. So for example, if you've got a really long session coming up and you really want to put some power into your punches, this can be a really good style or technique to use, because it is going to give you that extra bit of padding over the top of the knuckles, okay? Personally, I prefer this style now because it just feels comfortable when I'm throwing, but yeah, I'm going to take you through the second style now, or the second option, okay? So this second option I learned in New Zealand. Now this one is a lot more protective of the wrist, okay? So if you tend to get lots of issues with your wrist, you tend to like strain your wrist a bit, then this one can be really good, especially when you're starting out, just to give you that little bit more kind of support and protection, okay? So same thing as before, we'll take this out. Basically what I want to do is I want to put my thumb through here to start, okay? So I put my thumb in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap this around my wrist, 1, 2, and at the end, every time I wrap it, I'm just going to give a little tug. Not super tight, just a little dip, just to keep it nice and taut and tense, okay? So 2, and then 3, okay? So I've got like a good kind of like width over my wrist, okay? Just to keep it nice and protected. And then from there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back around my hands, okay, or over my knuckles, and I'm gonna go 1, 2, and 3. From here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna funnel the wrap back around my wrist, and I'm just gonna weave it up through my fingers, each individual finger, okay? So coming up between pinky and middle finger, like so. 1, back around the wrist, and then coming up through middle and ring finger. 2, back around the wrist, and then through ring finger and middle finger and index, back around the wrist. And then I'm just gonna provide a little bit more protection over the knuckles, just to kind of like give that little bit of extra protection there, like so. And then I'm gonna finish up back on the wrist. So like this, yeah, back up and over and through, okay? So as you can see with this style, there's a lot more padding, a lot more support where the wrist is, but not as much over the knuckles. And on this one, there's a lot more support on top of the knuckles, but not as much on the wrist, okay? Neither is right or wrong. Really what it comes down to is personal preference and what personally works for you. These are just 2 styles of hand wrapping that I've used over the years and that I know work really, really well with the majority of my clients and with myself included. Now, one last point I want to make is, I know this might be a little bit, what's the word, out there for some of you people, but I would actually recommend every now and again not using wraps at all. And the reason why, I'll explain it to you, is because it's important for our knuckles and for our wrist to have some type of graded exposure to kind of direct contact or direct impact. Now, that might seem a bit counterintuitive, but I'm wearing wraps to like protect my bones and to protect my wrist. Well, yes, that's true, but every now and again, it is good to give your bones, especially if you're going to be punching a lot and you're really getting into the sport, it is good to give them some stimulation. And there's certain cells that form in the bones that will actually help to improve the bone density. So depending on how much output we're doing and how much stimulation those bones are getting, they'll get more bone density if we give it direct impact or direct stimulus, okay? And same thing with the joints, the ligaments, the tendons, everything in there, they will start to stiffen up a lot more and get a lot stronger, more durable. And it also teaches you good punching habits. So you can't just like wildly swing and rely on the hand wraps to protect your wrist. You do actually have to tense your fist before you make contact with your target, okay? So third option, a little bit out there, is punching bare knuckle with no wraps. And then 1 and 2, you've got the Thai style, which I showed you before, and you've got the New Zealand style. 1 for the knuckles, 1 for the wrist, 1 is just kind of more for conditioning. All right, let me know which one you guys like best, and I'll see you in the next video.